Welcome, guys. Welcome to Sagiecenter. I got a special guest with me. You know, I had to make the trip up north to my boy
The North.
because he's on injury reserve. David Addo. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, sir.
But live on camera. You know, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself to the people. I think they already know a lot about you, just through our pages and stuff. So go ahead.
How's it going, everybody? This is David Addo, your boy. D for Deacon, co-founder of Beg Train Me.
Got a nice little shirt here called the Deads right
Go
here.
get it on their website.
This came out yesterday, so it's
cold.
live on the
It's
website, so get that. We got a lot of dope stuff on our website right now. Plans, services, nutrition, all of the above for you guys. So feel free to hit us up, So let's get to it.
Get your bodies right for the summer,
Around the corner.
It's summer coming, and this is not like last summer, Now we can actually have a summer. So I know a lot of y'all been sitting on that couch for over a year. You better hit them up, nutrition, all of that. So, we're going to get right into it. We got a busy agenda. Like he said, they have their own fitness business. And one big thing in the NBA is fitness, especially with this day and age with the athletes, like the advanced medicine and things like that. We see more of like common injuries with athletes. And I want to know from your standpoint, how big of a role does fit? I know with the schedule and all, it kind of compresses things, but how much does fitness and nutrition play a factor in some of these nagging injuries some of these athletes may have in the NBA?
Okay, so for this season, I think this season is a little bit of an asterisk just because of the time frame of when they stopped and started. If you guys are not familiar, the NBA last year had a bubble for their playoffs. So basically, due to COVID, they had stopped the season for a short period of time. I think it was about a couple months, and then they re-picked it up again, and the bubble went into like the summertime. So technically, with the NBA season, it's from, I believe, September, from
it's like that's the training camp. Training camp opens up end of September usually,
and it goes all the way to June, and then you have like your summertime to basically recuperate,
maybe
recover,
USA
basketball if you're good enough for that, or you get selected, and then basically train or work on your body. But this upcoming season that's going on currently now, it's kind of jam packed. They're playing games within 4 games within like 5 nights. It's kind of really compressed. So like at that point,
5 and 7.
Yeah, at that point, where's the recovery coming in? So with nutrition, that's a big thing with athletes in all sports, because I think that with nutrition you have to have that at the top.
Oh yeah,
at the top, because they're expending up to 4,000 to 5,000 calories as far as working out, training camp, playing the games. And to be sufficient to have your body working the way you want it to work, your diet and your nutrition has to be A1. And so with that being said, you have to have the right amount of carbs, right? Because carbs is what you use for energy expenditure, right?
With the right carbs.
The right carbs, right? You can't be eating your donuts or your bagels or all of those heavy carbs. You gotta get the fruits, the veggie stuff in there as well too. And then also protein is a big thing you have to add to your diet, because protein helps with muscle recovery, right? So if you're not having the right amount of protein in your diet, or the lean protein, then that's why you see your body start to deteriorate. And if you're not getting the amount of rest, then that's a whole other thing as well too. So I think a lot of those things play a part in like the injuries that we've seen this far into the league. Because LeBron James, he's got hurt as well too, but his was one of a one-off because someone ran into him. So that's kind of like a one-off. But like another star, Murray, you guys know about him. I believe he tore his ACL.
Yeah, that was a few weeks ago. That was a big game. Denver has still been doing well without him, but still, that's a big loss for them.
Yeah. So, like, with that being said, he tore his ACL, but then you got to look at it like this. Well, is nutrition A1? You got to question nutrition, because first of all, I'm not sure they get enough adequate sleep because they're playing so many games.
And don't forget they play in altitude for
as well. Yeah, and so sometimes they may have to travel to another city to go to an away game and do this and that. So if you're getting in around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you have to wake up for practice in the morning. Like, are you getting enough sleep to make sure your body's recovering? Because you need about 7 to 8 hours a night for proper recovery. So it's like one of those things have to give. You have to either have great sleep or bar none nutrition. And if one of those things are lagging, then that's where we start to see those little nagging injuries and sometimes those big injuries that may occur. So a lot of that's important as well too. But I feel like with the league now, it's definitely has advanced as far as the medicine and nutrition, because let's just say the injury that Jamal Murray had 20 years ago, that's one of those injuries.
Let's not even say 20 years ago. We could do more recently. Derrick Rose, 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
He tore his ACL.
And then that was seen as like a career-ending injury, right? But a lot of these guys are getting injured, right? Unfortunately, but are bouncing back within a year and playing like their whole selves.
Zach LaVine has torn his ACL.
He's back like nothing's
Kevin
ever
Durant
occurred.
tore his
Yeah, like even my buddy Kevin Durant, my twin, we both have Achilles injuries, and even though he took about a year and a half to come back, but look at him now, he seems like nothing phases him at all. Like it's like what happened to that foot? Like nothing at all. So I feel like with technology that we have now in advanced medicine, it's like it's a big up to the league for using that stuff and also just implementing that in their nutrition and all that stuff.
And I love that, and I always love to give shout outs to guys like LeBron who lead the way. I think LeBron, of course he's a generational player, but he leads the way with that nutrition thing. They say he spends like over $1 million on his body a year, and he has helped guys like even recently of his buddies, Chris Paul, for example. Chris Paul is known for a person that gets hurt in prime games and stuff, and Chris Paul has said in recent years his diet has changed. I think ever since he left Houston, he changed his diet, got a new chef, and he played very well with OKC last year. You see what they're doing now with Phoenix this year, so that takes a lot of role. Joel Embiid's another younger example that we know of his injury past. Even he had an injury this year, but that's more because of the compressed schedule. But he's playing his best ball of his career because he said he changed his diet and things like that. So it's very important. I know you guys are always, you're doing great work. We have worked together. We've worked out together. We've all had this new, nutrition and fitness goals and stuff. It plays a key role. Like right now, we're a little, I'm back up to like that little weight I wanted to, but I can see how I'm monitoring your calories, the right carbs. Like, it's more the weekends where you
want to pick out a
little bit. Yeah. But during the week, I eat my greens. I make sure I get my salads in, the right carbs, brown rice, maybe jasmine rice instead of the traditional rice, more veggies, and, definitely the right protein. So.
Yeah. And then with that being said, it's like, LeBron James, even though he's not my favorite player, but I really appreciate LeBron James because
I do too.
He's one of the players that I look up to when it comes to that fitness and nutrition aspect of life, as far as putting your money where it needs to be. He spent over $1 million on his body, and that's crazy to think about. It's like that means he's so dedicated to the sport and to his body that he puts in $1 million. Just think about it, $1 million just for your body. That means nutrition, his chefs, his supplements, all of the above, the training, all of it. And look at it now, like all of those things that he's implemented
so crazy,
from the beginning of his career has propelled him to now. Like he's playing with his 18th season.
Yeah, and
it doesn't look like he's lost.
It doesn't look at it at all. And like just to wrap up with the subject, it's like the nutrition now, just with the NBA players and LeBron. You'll see it later on in life. I was like at the gym, and this guy, was similar age to my dad. In the 60s, and he was just like, and you would not think the guy, of course you think he's probably in 40 because of the gray hair, but besides that, great shape. And that's how I want to be when I get to, I'm going to be 30 soon. I know the recovery ain't the same anymore. Ain't the same. I can see we definitely ain't the same for you, buddy.
Hey,
it's coming along. But to switch gears, we're going to talk about, a good subject of yours, your boys up in Brooklyn, the black and white.
I love New York.
Your boys up there, Kyrie, KD, and of course your boy Harden, who's currently right now not playing.
You said it wrong. It supposed to have been Harden named first, and then you said Kevin Durant, then Kyrie.
We all know it's KD first, sir. We know it's KD first. We know it's KD, but they need Harden. But we're going to first start off with, I want to talk to you about, the chemistry with, if they've been able to really, are you confident in their chemistry when it comes to playoff time with them just playing only 7 games? And they're saying Harden may not even play the rest of the season just because they put their hamstring.
Okay, with those players, I think it's a little bit different with them because they are players with high basketball IQ, right?
Yes.
And have high talent, right? And high skill level, right? And now, with that being said, basketball, I would say it's not a hard sport to play, right? And with those three talents on the court, we already seen
It's
that.
like chess, though.
Yeah, we already seen that the one problem that we all were talking about was that how can Kyrie and Harden coexist, right? As you can see, when Kevin Durant was out with his injury or with him like just recovering, Kyrie and Harden played well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They figured it out. Kyrie's playing off the ball at the 2 guard position, and then they gave James Harden basically the reins to the point guard position. And we see that they played well. And with chemistry, the last missing piece was Kevin Durant, and we didn't see that, but we saw Kevin Durant being thrown into different offenses. He's been in the OKC offense. He was great. He was thrown into.
You can throw him anywhere.
You could throw him. He threw him in the
I'm not
Golden
worried
State
about
offense. He's been great. So I feel like chemistry may be an issue for them, but I personally think that it's not going to be an issue because we already found the missing piece as far as how can Kyrie and Harden can work together. We already seen they can work together, and throwing Kevin Durant in there, I think that's easy peasy.
My concern is not their chemistry on the offensive end.
Mm-hmm.
It is that defensive end because they don't. And I'm still thinking. I think they're still going to outscore people to the point where it's like, but when you get to these 7-game series and where especially key games down the stretch where you actually have to make stops, and we're talking about. I know for a fact they don't have a wall to defend Joel and Giannis if they meet them. And I know shooting teams can't shoot with them. So teams like Atlanta and stuff like they're shooting teams, they can't shoot with them. But if you can pound them in the lane and maybe rough them up, does that mess up a little bit of their offense? Maybe where they're, now they have to exert a little bit more energy, especially I think the big three is going to have to, all of them going to play over 30 minutes a game.
Of course. I mean, when it comes to the playoffs, you got to play your best players at the end of the day. But when it comes to defense, don't get me wrong, they're not the best defensive team in the league. But this NBA now, it's all about offense. Your offenses can be your defense. So if you're scoring more and they have to basically take the ball out of bounds and then start their offense, they don't have no transition points they're going to be getting. Because if you're scoring buckets, they have to take the basketball out of bounds. So they have to go and create the offense, set something up.
Run with them.
But if they're up running and gunning, I don't think teams like the 76ers may be able to stay up with them. Because I think Joel Embiid is a great talent. He deserves a double team every time he touches the ball. But,
I'm going to make Ben Simmons shoot.
They have to guard them on the other end.
Yeah.
So who's going to be guarding Kevin Durant on the other end? Who's going to be guarding Kyrie on the other end? Who's going to be guarding Harden? The floor is space. So for me, I feel like with them, they're a different breed because their offense is their defense.
No, I agree. And like I said, it was just a little concern of mine on the playoffs, but I still think just from seeing they're starting five the big three only played 7 games and they're number 1 in games.
Exactly. So it's like,
and they've had 37 different starting fives. I think Steve Nash and his staff have done one hell of a job because even during big games when they even had all 3 of them, and they still had, so I would give them some props. Before we switch gears, the last thing about them, we're gonna have to definitely want to talk about our boy Prince thinking Kyrie's a bigger piece for the big three than Harden.
You know what? I wish Prince was here right now so I can look him dead in the eyes like this. Say, do you see it? Have you seen the lights? But in all seriousness, it's I'm glad that Harden was able to kind of change his game up a little bit and show the world that he can do more than just score.
Oh, yeah.
He showed the world that he can play the point guard position to the T.
I thought he should have been the point guard in OKC originally before.
Well, he played a little bit point guard when he came off the bench, and I think Westbrook played the 2 when he played played together. Yeah. But it was one of those things that they were trying out. I don't think Harden was the talent he was then that what he is now. So it's he's of course improved over the years, but as far as the point guard position, when it comes to Kyrie and Harden, it's not even a joke. Harden blows him out the water.
It's not close.
It's not close at all.
It's not close. And we're not talking about player. We're
not talking about skill level or player.
Even skill. If you're talking about skill, just skills. Of course, Kyrie is one of the most skilled players we've ever seen. But if you're talking about just overall player, what you contribute, and you doing it as one thing is Kyrie is so good one-on-one Both of them are good one-on-one.
Beautiful.
But we have seen Kyrie doesn't make his teammates better.
You don't.
And that's the thing that you can't. I try to express to people about what's the difference between players. Like a good scorer is not a great player.
Mm-hmm.
You're great at scoring, but that doesn't make you a great player. Great players overall, your impact. And Kyrie's a great player, but I don't think his impact is bigger to the game than James Harden. Definitely not bigger to the game than Kevin Durant.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kyrie always needs one of those type of people or two of those type of people around to flourish each time. When you give him a team of his own, yeah, he can win you a few games and stuff, possibly take you to playoffs if he stays healthy. But he's not that type of player who's going to like, hey, you're number one completely on a championship team. And I
agree with that.
It's been proven. So hopefully Prince finally sees the light. If not, hey, you can't win them all.
Yeah, but he's a knucklehead, so he's probably not going to ever.
No, he's not. He's on rebuttal in the group.
It's all good.
Moving subjects, we're going to talk about the last thing, the storylines. Most teams have about 8 to 9 games left in the NBA season, which means there are about 2 weeks left in the NBA season. I believe, actually, the play-in game is 2 weeks from tomorrow, which will be May 2nd. Happy May 1st. So we have different things. We're going to start off with the East. We went through the standings, and I want to say Tom Thibodeau and Julius Randle. I got to give y'all one hell of... Nobody thought the New York Knicks would make the playoffs. Not even the play-in game. But y'all top 4 in the East. And y'all look like y'all going to stay at least at 4 or 5.
Exceptionally well.
Oh, my God. And they'll actually have home court advantage.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no one thought the Knicks would be like this. I mean, back in the day when Melo went to the Knicks, people thought, okay, the Knicks going to have a little rah-rah here and there. But then you saw Melo struggled a lot. But I think that was a different type of league back then as well, too. Yeah. But the league transitioned into more of a shoot-first league.
Oh, yeah.
Has really propelled a lot of teams.
And a player league. And the one thing I want to give a shout-out to Tom Thibodeau about, he had to adjust his ways.
Definitely.
I've heard a lot of different things about what Tom Thibodeau does now. Like, he doesn't overwork the players. He gives them more of an input. Old Tom Thibodeau, we see what we had Tom Thibodeau with the Bulls. But that's, they're doing an amazing job. Of course, Brooklyn. It's going to be interesting because if the standing stay the way it is, I know Brooklyn's going to win their first round matchup. I want to talk more about that play-in game because that's 7-10. I think right now Boston or Miami is either sit at that 7.
I think last time Boston was at 6. I think they won a game.
So Miami must be 7. Miami was 7. Charlotte's 8. But LaMelo Ball, I believe should be coming back.
Should be coming back from injury.
Any game now. We're going to end up losing a bet that the Hornets make the playoffs, which sucks. Hopefully they lose their playing game because they won't be making the playoffs.
What do you think about the Washington Wizards with Bradley, Beal, and Westbrook?
That is what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
They look like they're catching their stride now, and I don't think they can. I don't think they have enough games to get up to 8, where they only have to win a game. But if I'm Miami sitting at 7, I'm a little concerned that you could lose 2 games to them. Especially all it takes is you win 1 game and then it's just a winner take all for that next game. Definitely, if I'm Charlotte, I'm concerned. I'm concerned. I think Washington is going to, if the way they're going, and I think the way their schedule's set up, and just looking how the Bulls don't have Levine coming back into.
Yeah, I think the Bulls are done for. Yeah. I like the core they have now with Vujovic.
Yeah,
if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, and Zach Levine. I think that's a nice core to build around. I think the Bulls made a great trade on getting that big man. But unfortunately, with Zach Levine being out, I think due to COVID issues or COVID restrictions,
it was a protocol. So he doesn't have COVID, but he was around somebody with COVID. But the NBA has eased the rules for players who've been vaccinated.
Gotcha.
So it's like, I know he didn't have COVID, but these are the rules. Like, and that's how the world is moving now. Like, you've been vaccinated, you're able to do more things. In certain things. So it's like, that just sucks that it happened at that time. That COVID protocol came to him at that time. But the Bulls better be careful, bro, because he is openly talked about wanting to, loving LeBron, playing with LeBron.
Mm.
And he is coming up on his final year of the contract. So he could possibly, if they don't do something this summer, maybe get Alonzo or something to help the team. But, Bulls don't need to do something next year to keep him.
You got to build on that.
But I think, like we both think, Brooklyn is coming out the East. I don't think there's any. That's my prediction. What about you? It's about who's going to play them in the conference finals. For me.
I think if the Nets are fully healthy, they'll be fine. Also, people forget that Spencer Dinwiddie, I think he can possibly come back for the
because it
playoffs
was a partially tear.
So I think I've seen a little reports here and there that he's back up and running, doing drills in there. So he may be able to come back for the playoffs. So that's a nice punch off the bench.
And he can defend, and he knows how to defend. So
so he's a kind of an all-star caliber player when he plays at his best. I'm not saying he's an all-star, but he has games. So I think the Nets will be fine if they're fully healthy. If they can get James Harden back, but I feel like without James Harden, they won't be able to win anything because he's kind of the missing link to their offense, just because of how he's been playing and the way he distributes the ball. So. But, I think the Nets will be fine. Milwaukee, I'm not sure if they give me the gumption that I need for them to.
They've been inconsistent, and Giannis is hurt again.
Yeah, so I think they need. I don't know. I think they need another piece, or I think they need Giannis to develop more into having a better mid-range game at least.
He got into the post a little bit.
It's inconsistent for me.
Yeah, he's got into he needs to make them scared to at least do it. But I think for them, it comes to matchup. They actually match up very. Philadelphia doesn't want to see them because Philly hates playing Milwaukee for some reason. That's the only team.
That's a great matchup.
Right? That's their kryptonite. That's Philly's kryptonite is Milwaukee. So for some reason, I would think Milwaukee would be Philly would be Milwaukee's kryptonite. But yeah, I the whole Giannis thing. I always I think we look too much, especially in this age, about just shooting, and we forget that the game is more than shooting because we have offense. And I think, I just don't think that he's ever going to develop a consistent, like a pull-up game just because it does the mechanics. But I think he has to find some ways to be more because the one thing we can see is once the athleticism goes away, it will be, you have to be able to finesse the game. So
something different.
So, like I said, I think we both think Brooklyn's going in the East. Now, to get to the interesting West. The wild West.
Wow.
Where the defending champions may be playing to get into the playoffs, bro.
Yeah, and that's crazy just because of how the league was so compressed this season.
They got hurt by that.
A lot of injuries. I think Anthony Davis missed about 30 games.
That boy missed the whole season.
Pretty much the whole season. Half the season. He's kind of working himself back into, playing shape and then playing the way he's supposed to play, how he's supposed to play. So that should be interesting as well, too. LeBron came back, I believe, last night. Yeah. I think they lost their game, but he didn't seem too bad as far as the way he looked physically. Yeah. But, it's going to take some time for him. But
they got 9 games, though. Hey, he said those 9 games are very important.
For me, I think
those 9 games are very
important. I think for the West, it's either going to be the Lakers or the Clippers. And then my sneak team that may give you a surprise is the Suns. And I want to say Utah.
Man.
Utah. It would have been Denver if Jamal Murray was.
I thought Denver was going to the finals if they had.
Because Denver had everything. They have everything for every position. They have 2 or 3 players for every position that can actually play. So it's like, hey, they're in great shape. But unfortunately, injuries do happen. It's a part of life. But yeah, that's my 4 teams. I would say Clippers, Lakers, give or take. And then my team for surprise would be the Suns for sure. I love the way Chris Paul and Devin Booker are playing together. I'm not sure they have enough. I think Aiden is a little bit premature as far as the way he plays now, but he's still a young player. Utah, I just like Utah because of Donovan Mitchell. I think he has a lot of firepower.
Bro, that's another person said that he was overrated. Like, what?
And the way they've been shooting this year as far as the team aspect on the shooting three-pointers, they're playing very well behind the arc. So I feel like they could have like a puncher's chance to make some noise. But what are your takes on that?
Man, like, I of course think if LeBron and AD are get to that healthy spot, I think that it's just so hard to bet against them. But the Clippers are playing pretty well. My fear about the Clippers is Kawhi Leonard's health. He's been out for like almost 2 weeks. And then of course we're gonna talk about, can Paul George game transition to playoffs? Is he gonna be George Paul again? That's
playoff pick.
That like I said, he's one of those players. I don't care anymore about what you're doing. Right? You can low-key win MVP in the regular season for me unanimously. I don't care what you're doing in the playoffs. It's the playoffs. So I need to see what playoff P does. The Suns, like you said, you hit it on the head. I don't have any fear in Booker or CP3. But my fear is Aiden and those other young guys with those sweating paws start to like now being like, hey, like how is that gonna work? They're great coach, great leadership, but it's like you need Aiden basically to be almost like an AD for them to basically to upset the Lakers. You need him to play almost the standard of AD, and then you have Chris Paul and Devin Booker they're playing together should offset LeBron's play.
I agree.
And then you let the rest of the team. So but you gotta see what happened. And then Utah, it's always, I don't have any doubt that Donovan Mitchell is just the rest of the team. They're another team again. It's kind of like the Clippers. You got to show me the playoffs. Utah's been consistent like this. Honestly, Utah's been a very consistent team for almost the last decade. They only had that year. They're not really having any really fault because they lost Gordon Hayward and then they got Donovan Mitchell. So maybe a year, but they've still been very consistent. It's like, okay, now what can y'all do in the playoffs?
Exactly.
Can you make that next step? Can you actually upset people? So that's how I just view it. Again, I think if the Lakers are healthy, they're my pick. If not, honestly, man, I honestly don't even know if the Lakers are not healthy. To me, I think it will be between Phoenix and the Clippers. I just think because the Clippers know that they're at that. If the Lakers can't make it, they're the ones like, hey, it's a bust season too for them. And then the Suns, I think that if Chris Paul sees that opening, say he beats the Clippers, I think the way it's standing right now, they'll probably have to meet the Lakers in the second round because the Lakers will probably beat somebody in the first round, whoever they're gonna play. So that
question for you though. Okay, so let us say the Nets fully healthy win the East, right? I have two scenarios for you. I want to see what you think about this for your expertise. So we have the Nets versus the Clippers. Who do you think win?
The Nets.
Okay. The Nets versus the Lakers.
The Nets.
Okay. All right.
The Nets. I think fully healthy. Fair. I think the Nets, like even with AD and LeBron, I don't believe. People always said that Drummond pickup was so big, and I was like, yeah, but I was like, I don't think Drummond's gonna play a lot down the stretch with LeBron. Like name me the time LeBron played with a big man that successfully played with a big man that he can't spread the floor. Right. Across the lane, he can't finish with himself. Okay. They don't, but I think I honestly don't want to make a prediction about the West. It's honestly because there's so many factors. I'm more sure about my East pick. The West, I still have to probably. I'll give my prediction in my next episode before the playoffs.
That's fair.
So definitely, we're about to do the last thing. I definitely just want to give a shout out to you, definitely for showing up to the show, really helping me out. Definitely want to let everybody know, hey, where to get these shirts from.
AbegTrainMe.com. Have a beautiful website. It's Abeg, ABEG, Train, TRAIN, me.com.
Find our merch there, apparel, all of the above.
Fitness plans, nutrition plans,
all of the above.
Check us out.
Make sure y'all check them out. Lastly, you see this shirt that I'm wearing, everybody been asking about Sagiecenter apparel. I do have shirts coming out. I definitely want to give a shout out to Abdullah for helping me out. More to come. I'm going to be having more releases. Took some pictures and photos and all that so you can see the different designs. Definitely going to be releasing the pre-orders in the next week or so be on the lookout for that. Definitely want to thank you, David. It's always love when you come on the show.
Always.
It's always fun. Hey, Prince, listen to us, man. But this is Sagi, this is David, and we out.